All right, everybody, we are going to do a quick vid here to talk about the new era of Verkk. So, if you are familiar with the Verkk, this is a 3D printed slider created by Cladis 3D Studios. Anthony Cladis, who many know, created this slider last year, and it was eventually turned into the Magnus Coral that he collabed with Magnus McDonald on. So, this was the first era of Verkk. Now Anthony's released the new era of Verkk, he calls it. It's a little harder to tell because this is the glow-in-the-dark version. But one of the things that he was running into was a consistency problem with the Verkk, in that these plates, being their own piece and not directly connected to the actual body of the Verkk, they had to be glued in. When you glue them in, there was inconsistency in terms of the play, because sometimes maybe there was too much glue used, sometimes there wasn't enough, and the plates came out. He saw it as a negative, and it was also, I believe, a kind of a pain in terms of production. So this new era, and if you can see, the way it differs is the plate itself. All right, there's your plate. It wraps around the entire edge of the body. And then you have the body. All right. So the body almost snaps in to the plate instead of the plate snapping into the body there. But is it better? Well, that's a good question. One of the things that I liked about the Verkk so much is this kind of subtle click to it, a subtle crunch, if you will, a lot of playability, perfect size, all right, and just these subtle kind of grooves right there for your finger and your thumb to sit in, not too high that it created any sort of sharp ridges or anything like that, but kind of just right, really, I'd say, for great movement, great feel, great function. All right. So what he did to correct for the new era was not only make those plates wrap around, he did in fact run this over with his truck, because there were a lot of people complaining that these cracked. A simple drop that the resin print was too delicate and would cause cracks around the edge, and then they'd have to buy another one. And the new era, he's running over with trucks. So he said it's much more stable, much stronger than any of the other sliders that he's made. He also stated that the sound was unlike other 3D printers that sounded hollow. So improved sound, improved strength, and then he also said improved magnet strength. So let's compare. Now, size-wise, because it is simply the size of the plate, it is ever so slightly smaller. So if you look, you can see that pink outline because the body width and height is no longer necessary. The new slider is simply the size of the plate. All right. So you're losing Very small amount, just that pink area in size. But then if you think about that, you also have to multiply that by 2, because now you have the width and height of the plate around the new body. And so the body has been condensed by about 2 times this width. So it's smaller. All right, but then he also made the ridges higher so that there's a larger inset for your thumb and finger. So let's take a look at the difference there. You can see the height difference on those and the depth difference. I will say this does feel good right here, but it doesn't feel as good right here. The height of those ridges right there has created some sharp spots that I've kind of been catching my thumb on. In terms of magnet strength, I don't see much of a difference. I don't find it to be stronger necessarily, which isn't a bad thing. It's still, I don't think stronger is always better. He was making his other Verkks in a hybrid magnet setup so that one side was stronger than the other, making that kind of free flow action possible. But it's almost like I don't know. So these ridges, they create a couple sharp spots. But now having this plate set, specifically this one, not this one. All right, this is the one with just the kind of light radial pattern on it. But this one right here, and you can see just the way I'm holding it, that you've got these parts of the oval kind of coming off of the plate. And those are sharp. So that's kind of the biggest bummer of this piece for me, is having those exposed really kind of affects the play. And these ridges are also so much deeper on this one. You see how much deeper Cladis is? That it's like I'm getting my thumb caught there. The rotations aren't as smooth. Let's see. Get a good flow every now and then. It just doesn't, and I don't know. I'm still spending time with it. So I haven't quite nailed down what it is. If it's the height of the ridges mixed with the pieces on here that keep catching, but something kind of continually interrupts that flow for me, to where I'm not getting the enjoyment out of that I get out of this. I bought several of these. I've got at least 4 of these along with some of the track versions. And it's just so smooth. And to be honest, if I'm talking about the sound, you can hear the crunchiness of that one. This one versus that one, this one sounds more hollow to me. Now, he does have a silent version. He had a silent version of this one too. And I have not tried the silent version, so I can't speak for that. But here is a bonus of the full wraparound plates. Is a full glow body. So even the plate set is glow, which is really cool. Looks wise, that's one of the cooler glow pieces that I have. So you can see how pretty that is. I really, really want this to be just as good as the other Verkk, but I haven't found that flow yet. It's not there yet for me. I would say I'm still team first era of Verkk. I hate to say that, and I don't know if Anthony's gonna appreciate that. And I don't say it to be mean. It's just, there's something about having the plates kind of encased where there was still this space, right? So there was no pinch. This one still has that. Right? But just barely. The crunch is nice. The magnets feel softer to me, if I had to be honest. The body feels sharper. So I don't know. Give it a couple of flips here. There's something about that middle piece being too deep or something. The rise of these ridges is not gradual enough, maybe? Now, I did test this by taking out this piece. So let's say that this piece is the problem, okay? So far, all my kind of beefs with this new era is on this side. These sharp edges and the depth on this middle piece. If there was a slight, I don't know, maybe add another line of resin just down the side to encase those so that these ridges aren't so sharp. Because I tested the other half alongside the old Verkk, and I can flow, and it feels good. Those ridges on top maybe are still a little sharp. Yeah, and it's still a little smaller, so it's not that same size. But I like it, and there's no sharp edges on this piece. That piece feels really nice, with the exception of some of these maybe higher ridges up top. And it can flow alongside this other piece here. So I think maybe my beef with this new piece lies with this side. I think if that was figured out and maybe refined a little bit, that this would be a really nice slider. Right now, though, if I'm reaching into my collection to pick out a Verkk to play with, it's still going to be V1. But there you go. That is the review of the new era of Verkk. Thanks, folks.